boy, the host with the most. I do not brag and boast. It's your host, your moderator. Welcome to another fabulous rendition of Just My Opinion podcast. As always, rate, comment, subscribe, share this with a friend, family, as well as a follower. Let's get this podcast lit in the podcast algorithm. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, y'all can hear me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's get into it, shall we? Let's get into today's subject. So today we're going to be talking about Max Kellerman was on the Ben Simmons podcast, and basically he was just spinning the block when it comes to ESPN and First Take, explaining why he no longer work at the worldwide leader of sports, his relationship with Stephen A. Smith, and First Take as a whole. So I'm just going to paraphrase a lot of stuff that he said on Ben Simmons' podcast. I want to first say this for the record. Max Kellerman was very cryptic. He wasn't direct. He was very, very cryptic in the message that he was spitting on Ben Simmons' podcast. Basically, when Ben Simmons asked him about what happened with him and Stephen A. Smith over there at First Take, why it didn't work, why you're no longer there, Max Kellerman said basically, if you had to spar against uh, Kellerman, Muhammad Kellerman, day in and day out, it wouldn't be a good job. It wouldn't be a good thing to go to every day. Okay, basically implying that Stephen A. Smith uh, found it hard debating against Max Kellerman. All right. Now, if you Mark, man, I was about to say Marcus Spears. Jesus Christ. Uh, Marcellus Wiley on his YouTube channel echoed those same sentiments. Marcellus Wiley talked about when he worked with Max Kellerman. Sometimes it was a lot of days he found it was extremely difficult working with Max Kellerman because he said Max Kellerman was intelligent, he was well prepared. He was well diverse, and it made life uneasy for Marcellus Wiley. Now, I will say this: Sports Nation is a different animal when it comes to First Take. Sports Nation was basically a shuck and jive type of show. They throw out the topics, everyone talks about the topic, and then everyone deliver their opinions about the topic. When it comes to First Take is more organized, is more of a debate show. It's like, here's the topic. We're going to talk about the topic. Stephen A., you give us your take. Max Kellerman, you give us your take. And it's got to be a positive type, negative type of take. You just can't have two positive takes. Someone has to be different from the other person. Because if you consistently agree on a lot of things, then where's the debate? Okay, so it's supposed to be like a debate type of show. So I want to say this for the record. I said this. I thought Max Kellerman would have been an excellent candidate to replace Skip Bayless. I did a video on it. I did a live stream on it on my old channel. Go to I'm Chris the Don 1. I used to cover sports on that particular channel. I don't know if I archived it for the membership side of things, but if I ever if I'm gonna go look for that video, and I'm gonna try to post that video on this particular channel. I'm gonna post the whole entire video. And I'm gonna post the date when I made this video, because when Stephen A. Smith exit stage left from First Take, the talk of the town was, I'm not Stephen A. Skip Bayless. Who's gonna replace Skip Bayless? And I thought of three names. I thought of Marcellus Wiley. I thought of Max Kellerman. And I forgot the other person but I thought the wild card would be Michelle Beadle, because of Michelle Beadle's history with Stephen A. Smith. They're beefing like beefaroni. All right. I thought that would have been fire if Stephen A. Smith had to face Michelle Beadle on a day in, day out consistent basis on live television. Okay, work this beef into your favor, ESPN. But I said out of all those candidates, I thought Max Kellerman is through the roof. I think they should take a swing on Max Kellerman. I thought Max Kellerman would have been perfect replacement for Skip Bayless. I said it in this video. Once I find that video, I'm going to bring it to this channel. Okay? But that's neither here nor there. So I just want to let you guys know, even back then, I was, screaming to the highest heavens, get Max Kellerman. All right? Now, let's talk about Max Kellerman. And then Max Kellerman also said that Stephen A. Smith doesn't have hot takes, which I'm going to have to disagree with Max Kellerman. Look, I know how people feel about Stephen A. Smith. I know there's a community of people that don't like Stephen A. Smith. There's a community of people that think Stephen A. Smith shucked and jive. There's a ton of people like that. But it's kind of funny to me. All successful black men are are coons. They shuck and jive. They dance for the man and this, that, and the third. But we praise other black men that are not on their level, that are not successful, and we tell everybody they're speaking the truth. They're real. Okay. Also, I will agree with a lot of people. Stephen A. Smith sometimes comes off kind of fake. Okay. And he really does. Stephen A. Smith does come off fake. I do agree on that. I do not agree on Stephen A. Smith being a coon. I think Stephen A. Smith just works harder than everyone else. Y'all can like it, love it, hate it, whatever. But I think it's a form of jealousy. It's a form of envy when you see someone that's just as talented as you, but put in the work to prove that they're worth it. All right, and that's what Stephen A. Smith does. And I don't think a lot of people give him his praise, but there's a lot of things I don't like what Stephen A. Smith says, but it is what it is. Okay, thanks for the thumbs up. All right, so Max Kellerman said on Bill Simmons' podcast, Stephen A. Smith doesn't have hot takes, and he made life uncomfortable for Stephen A. Smith on First Take. First and foremost, I watched First Take when they brought Max Kellerman in. Obviously, it was completely different than when they had Skip Bayless. I thought, when it was Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, it was a yin and the yang. Okay, the two individuals with two different opinions, two different thoughts. Occasionally they would agree, but they will butt heads on a lot of stuff that they will talk about on First Take. And that's what made First Take great. That's what made First Take good. It was a debate style type show. This isn't Sports Nation. This isn't First Things First. This isn't Speak for Yourself, okay, or Speak, okay. This First Take was the pioneers of debate type topics, a debate type show where y'all arguing each other's points, and we're gonna find out who's right with their points. Okay, so it was completely different. So when Max Kellerman got there, thanks for the thumbs up. When Max Kellerman got there, I saw First Take different. It started less being about debates and more about hot takes. I mean, who could say the most cleverest thing? And don't get me wrong, Max Kellerman is extremely talented. Max Kellerman's knowledge of sports is top notch. He's particularly good with boxing. There's no one out there that can compete with Max Kellerman on the boxing level. He knows more about boxing just about than anyone out there. Okay, and there's no disrespect to anyone out there that's covering boxing. I'm just saying Max Kellerman is completely knowledgeable about boxing. But when it came to football, basketball, baseball, he was, he was out. I mean, he wasn't as focused and as driven as he is at box. He wasn't completely knowledgeable about those other sports, okay? Or those other sports takes, or those other sports topics, or the news about those other sports, okay? He was kind of Max Kellerman was kind of casual with other sports. With boxing, he's a pro, but with other sports, he was casual. And that same goes with Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, he's excellent with the NBA. He has insiders that talk to him on a consistent basis in the National Basketball Association. I'm talking about at that particular time. I don't know if Stephen A. Smith got that pull anymore, but when Stephen A. Smith was in his prime, particularly as a journalist, he was completely knowledgeable about the National Basketball Association. But when it came to football and when it came to other sports, he sort of kind of leaned towards the experts in that field because they know more about that particular field than Stephen A. Smith. With Max Kellerman would just say things and he wouldn't lean towards someone who's an expert at that particular sport. He would just come up with his own takes. And I think that's what Max Kellerman meant on Bill Simmons' podcast. He's when he says Stephen A. Smith didn't have a hot take. He's basically saying Stephen A. Smith didn't just throw it all on the line and then just say it with his chest and say how he feels about a certain topic that they're talking about that Stephen A. Smith was not familiar about. Okay, with Max didn't care what the topic was. He has a take. He has an argument. He's going to push it out there to the agenda. Now, Stephen A. Smith went to the Tom Brady is going to fall off the cliff take that Max Kellerman had. And that was a ridiculous take. Ridiculous take. All right. First and foremost, even though 3 or 4 years later, we started seeing decline of Tom Brady. But at that particular time when Max Kellerman said it, everyone was laughing at him, including myself. That's not a good, strong take you want to ride and die on. Okay. You want to sit on the hill and talk about. And he got pulverized by that take by football experts, by football players, current and former football players, by Stephen A. Smith. He got trounced, okay, to the point where he had to apologize for that. Now, if Stephen A. Smith would have said that, Stephen A. Smith would have ride and died with that. Okay, he wouldn't care what the rest of the world thought. He would still ride and die and sit on that hill. Max sat on the hill for a while, but when it got a little too hot, he had to issue an apology. Okay, because he wants to be liked. He's a nice guy that wants to be liked. There's nothing wrong with being a nice guy and wanting to be liked. But if you want to be in a debate type style show, you got to give no F's about what people think about you. That's why on debating, Stephen A. Smith is top notch. Christopher Mad Dog Russo is top notch. Skip Bayless is top notch. Shannon Sharp is top notch. These are individuals that have mastered that field. So when I saw Max Kellerman do First Take, and it wasn't the same First Take when it was Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless. It was a different type of sports take. Now, the ratings will show that, hey, nothing has changed. They still was the number one show. But I can see a change in First Take because it just was different. It was less about debating and more about who can say the most ridiculous stuff on First Take. Who had a hot take, okay? And I think that's where the disconnect comes from with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. Stephen A. Smith is looking at this like, hey, this is not why we formed First Take. We formed First Take because we embrace debate. We don't change it to just hot takes. And I think Max Kellerman was looking at it as, okay, let's change it up a little bit. Let's just throw out some hot takes, okay? Now, I will say this. When they let go of Max Kellerman got two big opportunities. Max Kellerman didn't get fired from ESPN. ESPN still believed in Max Kellerman. All right. Most people cannot say that. When most people, including Stephen A. Smith, when ESPN is done with you, they're done with you. They're not going to give you a second, third, fourth chance. They're done with you. Okay. So when Stephen A. Smith says when ESPN fired him, he had to, get it out the mud. He had to, get his name back up again. He had to do, when he got fired from ESPN, he had to go to Fox. He had to get his name back up. Okay. When Max Kellerman was let go at First Take, they gave him two shows. They gave him the morning show. Everyone seems to forget about that. And they gave him like an afternoon show. Both of them failed. And he also had a radio show. Both of them flopped. So this is the point where Marcellus Wiley and other people are not being real about this, okay? And for the longest, I had to question myself because I felt like I wasn't being truthful with this question. Was Max Kellerman, I think Max Kellerman is intelligent. I think Max Kellerman is smart. He's completely knowledgeable. But how does this play with the audience that's watching you? You have to be either likable or hate. They either hate you or they love you. They can't be in the middle. They can't, they can't, well, some days I like them, some days I don't like them. Okay, you dig what I'm saying? Thanks for the thumbs up. They either respect you because they love you, or they disrespect you because they hate you. They can't stand you. But guess what? They come watch you every single day. You can't. There's no question that there was a lot of people that didn't like Shannon Sharp. Like Shannon Sharp. He had his own fan base. There's no question there's a lot of people that don't like Stephen A. Smith. There's a whole community of people that still watch Stephen A. Smith to this day. Even with Skip Bayless, there's a huge audience out there, even today, for Skip Bayless. But with Max Kellerman, that audience is non-existing, okay? Because they were sort of in the middle, like, that was interesting. It's cool. I like them. I don't think it was a good take, but hey, I like them. Okay. Or that's a ridiculous take. It was on and off. Max Kellerman was lukewarm. He had 3 opportunities to prove himself. And the only time Max Kellerman was very successful at ESPN was that game show. I forgot the game show that came on the afternoons. Damn, I forgot that show. And they replaced him with Tony Reality, and they haven't even missed a beat. The show got actually better when they got rid of Max Kellerman. All right? People seem to forget about that. Sports Nation, that was late in the afternoon. All the best shows are gone. All the competition is gone. It's just Sports Nation and a bunch of reruns. Okay? That was a very good show. Okay? But in primetime hours, Max have proven time and time again that he's just not that guy to command an audience in primetime hours. I don't care what y'all say about Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is that guy. I don't care what you say about Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless is that guy. I don't care what you say about Shannon Sharp or Cam Newton, but those 2 individuals are that guy. Max Kellerman is not that guy. He's a good second fiddle. If you want to make him a third fiddle, that's fine. It's not disrespectful, but I understand. But for him to be the number 1 guy, he had more than enough opportunities to prove his worth. And he proven that he's just not that guy. Just no disrespect to Max Kellerman. None. No disrespect to Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman is a nice guy. I like Max Kellerman. But it's not about what I like. It's not about if he's a good guy. It's not about if he's knowledgeable. It's about, is he entertaining? Is he able to captivate an audience day in, day out, consistently? Okay. And before anyone says, well, People were still watching First Take when he was there. Were they watching First Take because of their disdain of Stephen A. Smith, or they were watching First Take because they brought in other guests to that show? It's a combination of both, but they were not watching solely for Max Kellerman. Let's just go on and just, thanks for the thumbs up. Let's quit this narrative. And I like Max Kellerman, but Max Kellerman is not that guy. He has proven himself that he's not that guy. Now, he's supposed to be doing a show with Rich Paul, LeBron James, one of LeBron James' friends. They're going to do a show. We'll see how that works, but to me, Max Kellerman is great with boxing. He's great with boxing, but you put him on the prime time spot on NBA or NFL or Major League Baseball or whatever, I don't think he's that good. And I think that's the bottom line why it did not work. It did not work. Now, this argument that Max Kellerman is making on Ben Simmons, talking about Stephen A. Smith was scared to debate him. Like, he put fear in Stephen A. Smith's eyes, and that's why Stephen A. Smith didn't want to continue to do the show, because Stephen A. Smith was scared of Max Kellerman. It's completely laughable and completely ridiculous, okay? First and foremost, when Stephen A. Smith replied to it, he did that fake laugh. Dude, that was a fake laugh, Stephen A. Smith. You was just faking it to making it, okay? That was a fake laugh. I saw the clip. That was a fake laugh. I was not convinced. But we all know Stephen A. Smith is kind of flaky. Stephen A. Smith got some fake in him. Okay, we know that going in. We know that. Okay, now let's talk about this laughable argument that Stephen A. Smith is scared of competition. That Stephen A. Smith was scared of Max because Max was just giving it to him, right? Max was just giving it to him, and no one wasn't giving it to Stephen A. Smith like Max Kellerman. When Max Kellerman left, Stephen A. Smith was debating people. He was still debating against people such as Shannon Sharp, Cam Newton. I forgot the other guy name. He was debating the top journalists, Christopher Mad Dog Russo, Jay Williams. He's going to be debating Kenny Smith, this up and coming basketball season. All right. So this argument that you're saying that Stephen A. Smith is scared of debating, he debated Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless was his toughest foe on First Take. He been there and done that with Skip Bayless. When you left, they replaced you with a bunch of other guests, and then they got Shannon Sharp. They stole Shannon Sharp from Fox Sports 1. He was debating against Shannon Sharp. You don't think Shannon Sharp... So you think Shannon Sharp an easy out? Is that what you're saying? Shannon Sharp is an easy out. You're better than Shannon Sharp, Max Kellerman. You're better than Cam Newton. You're better than Jay Williams. You're better than Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Do you know how ridiculous you sound right now? You sound completely off your rocker. And there was other people that he named. Louis Riddick. You think you are more knowledgeable than Louis Riddick? You got to be joking, Max Kellerman. So that's why I didn't take anything that he said on the Bill Simmons podcast seriously, because I think he was just trolling and joking. Now, this other dumb argument, like, people saying, well, he couldn't really say nothing because he was under contract by ESPN, and, that contract, he can't say nothing bad about ESPN and Stephen A. Smith is completely ridiculous. He could still, when he got released from First Take, from ESPN, he could have immediately done podcasts. If someone wanted to interview him, he can go on to the interview. The contract is not keeping him from doing interviews. The contract is not keeping him from doing podcasts. the contract is not keeping him from talking to Oprah or talking to whoever. Okay, let's just clear that dumb shit out of the way. All right, and two, the way how he was talking on Ben Simmons, one would assume that he's still on a contract because he didn't say anything hardcore. He was cryptic on the Ben Simmons podcast. He was very cryptic. So this nonsense of, well, he couldn't say nothing because he was still under contract and under ESPN contract. He can't disrespect Stephen A. Smith. Like, Stephen A. Smith is the end all and be all of ESPN. And you really think ESPN cares if someone has a take about Stephen A. Smith that is not likable? You really think ESPN is going to go all the way to the bat for Stephen A. Smith that way? And what he said on Ben Simmons was cryptic anyway. All right? So, I like Max Kellerman. No disrespect. I like Max Kellerman. I think Max Kellerman is great. I have no issues with Max Kellerman. But this argument that, Max Kellerman was cooking Stephen A. Smith on a day in, day out basis, and Stephen A. Smith got to the point where I give up. I'm tired of getting beat up by Max Kellerman. It's either him or me. Y'all gonna have to pick and choose who y'all want, Max Kellerman or me, because Max Kellerman is just killing me on these shows. And then he had they got rid of Max Kellerman. They got Irvin Magic Johnson. He debated Irvin Magic. Since Max Kellerman been gone, he debated Irvin Magic Johnson, Michael Irvin, Cam Newton, Shannon Sharp, Louis Riddick, Christopher Mad Dog Russo, Mia Kimes. I mean, this guy has been debating, people from day one. Jeff Saturday, Swagoo. I mean, Kendrick Perkins, Jay Williams. These are some high-profile individuals. For him to be this scared of Max Kellerman, and y'all trying to say Max Kellerman is more intelligent than the people I just named, or y'all going to sit up there and say with a straight face that Max Kellerman knows more about sports than the individuals that I named? Or y'all gonna sit up there and make the argument that, those individuals Stephen A. Smith wasn't scared of because they wasn't going to push Stephen A. Smith? I've seen plenty of shows before and after Max Kellerman that there's plenty of argument. Monica McNutt was arguing with Stephen A. Smith about the WNBA, about the Caitlin Clark situation. And, people was on Stephen A. Smith's head top. Because when Stephen A. Smith told the truth, a lot of those WNBA players were jealous of Caitlin Clark because Caitlin Clark was more popping at that time than them. It just wasn't their time. If you wait long enough, it will be your time. It was right now. At that time, it was all about Caitlin Clark. So just ride the wave. The WNBA is in a good space. People are coming to the games. If Caitlin Clark's popping, that means the WNBA is popping. But apparently, a lot of these females didn't like that. Okay, and I remember Molly, Monica. It was a whole bunch of these females going at Stephen A. Smith's head top. They was going after Shannon Sharp's head top, this, that, and the third. And then when the report comes out that, yeah, a lot of these females were envy of Caitlin Clark. Now these same individuals had to do an about face and basically apologize to what Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp was saying. But hey, if hearing it from the horse's mouth, Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith is he don't like that drama. Stephen A. Smith, he crumbles under pressure. Okay. So yeah, miss me on all that. And I like Max Kellerman. Don't get it twisted and confused. I like Max Kellerman. I thought Max Kellerman was an excellent choice to replace Skip Bayless. I still believe that. I chose Max Kellerman out of everyone else. I thought Max Kellerman was going to give him an honest, was going to bring some competition. He brought competition, but let's not get it twisted and confused. Can anyone name their best popular show on First Take with Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith? Other than the T.O. thing when T.O. said, "Damn, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman more blacker than you." That's the only show you can come up with. There's like over 30 shows with Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless was knocking each other's heads back and forth. And I can name a handful of shows with Shannon Sharp where they was going back and forth. So, hey, it is what it is. That's all I got for today. Let me see. Hello. Okay, hold up. Let me read your comment before we get up out of here. Hello, what's your opinion on brain rot? I have no opinion on brain rot. I just know what I know. I don't know anything about brain rot. Okay, so if somebody's in the chat, help him with his question. Help me help you. Okay, but yeah. So I'm getting up out of here, guys. I'll see you guys next week. And if something drops, I will let you guys know. It's your boy. I'm up out of here. I'm gone. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the subscriptions. Talk to you guys later. Later, Gators. Deuces.